Hello and good evening and welcome to Flip It. Yes, this is something I've been excited and wanting to do for a long time. My name is Michael Swisher. I am with the Child and Family Services Division in the Department of Human Services. And there's a team of us that have really been putting together a series of webinars for parents and everyone in these times. This is a difficult time for all of us. And we're really looking for ways that we can provide support to you in the community because we know this is hard. So most of these we've been doing have been about 20 or 30 minutes. Tonight's is 1 hour. What we've actually done is we've taken something that is about 5 hours worth of material and scrunched it down to just the basics. Had a conversation with the woman who actually designed this. She's like, just give them the basics, Michael. Just give them the what to. So I will give you a little bit of background, a little bit of context, but really count on an hour. So I hope you're able to be with us. I'm going to ask you to please use the chat. It's in there. We have a Q&A. I guess it's called, I don't know what it looks like for you, but we'll invite you, if you're here with us, to start sharing just the number of kids you have in your home, their ages, schools they attend. If you got any pre-K, let us know that too, and your zip code. This gives us a chance to know who we are and who we're serving. Okay. Real quick about me, I'm a parent educator. My title is Adult Outreach and Engagement and I'm with the Partnership for Children, Youth and Families, which is in the Child and Family Services Division. Before I worked here in DHS, I was working for Parks and Recreation, worked with kids at youth at risk and youth with disabilities and families. Did a lot of work dealing with behaviors. I have worked or lived in the Arlingtonville neighborhood for 23 years, since 1997. So I know this area. I live here. My kids have grown up here. I've got two. Got a 19-year-old who's finished her second year at William and Mary. I've got a 14-year-old who's finishing 8th grade at Gunston. They'll be heading to Arlington Tech in the fall. Yay. So as I said, there's a team of us. Hey, this isn't advancing. What do I need to do there? There we go. There's a team of us that put this together. I'm actually not alone in this. I've got two folks sort of in the background in the producer's room, Kirsten and Candace. So they'll be looking at any of the questions or chats, whatever you bring in there. They'll be watching that, and they got my back. So, okay. So thanks to them. So this is a training I attended a couple months ago with the creator of this, Rachel Wagner. It's developed by the Devereux Center for Resilient Children. They had some wonderful money from the Racker Center, who supported the initial work. As a guy who spent so many years working with kids and then being a parent myself, I love this. It really gets to everything that I want to be doing with my own children and I want to see everyone doing. So there are some handouts. We're working to see if we can get them in the Q&A so you can pull them up and look. If not, you can find them on this website. It's apcyf.arlingtonva.us, parent support. If you look for it, should be right there at the top. Flip it. There's a little place that has tools and so handouts. So go there and you can find this information. If not, you can go afterwards. This is being recorded, so you can also come back and re-listen and as much as you want. We'll also put the slides up in PDF form so you can find them later. Little commercial. It is Mental Health Awareness Month. That's something we've been working on. We've actually had a series of webinars. We got another one this Thursday evening that is going to focus on youth and wellness. I don't have more information, but the biggest and most important thing is if you are dealing with any sort of crisis or mental health issues, we're here for you. We are open. We are supporting you. So if it's just some basic questions about behavior and my child's mental health, you can call that 1560 number 228-1560. If you're having urgent need, call the Crisis Response and Recovery, what we know as CR2, 844-627-4747. And if there's a real psychiatric emergency, that number is 703-228-5160. And I'll tell you, if you don't know which number to call, don't worry about it. Call one, they will get you to the right place. Okay, that's the beauty. So I'll tell a little story. This is how Rachel told this, and this was her experience. So I will shorten it some, but it really started with this little girl named Haley. As a preschool teacher, she noticed the children's behavior, and she was brand new, and she was desperate to work with one, in particular with this girl. Haley had lived through a lot. She'd been abused, placed in a shelter, expelled from preschools, okay, for violent behavior, and other times lived in a foster home. On a typical day, she would attack other children. She called Rachel terrible names, kicked her in the shins, told her she was fat, while always trying to rip her eyeballs out. Haley's challenging behavior came from a place of deep hurt. So Rachel was looking for a strategy. What can we do? And she got some guidance from the Devereux Center and wisdom of some of her own experience, as well as others that worked around her. And they came up with these steps that we now know today as Flip It. So they responded to Haley's behaviors with 4 simple steps. Okay. With those steps, they were able to teach her about emotional awareness, support her in the emotional growth, and able to control those things, and then problem solve for herself. So every time Haley tried to rip Rachel's eyeballs out, she'd acknowledge her feelings, and then she would set a limit. Okay, she'd say, Haley, I see you're getting so mad, but we keep each other safe here. Then she would inquire to encourage problem solving. What can we do to help you with your mad? And then she would prompt her with coping strategies. What if we rub your back or maybe squeeze some Play-Doh? So by consistently using the feelings step, Haley began to understand and identify painful emotions that bubbled up inside her before she would lash out. Just like all of us, she needed some way to cope with it. And I would tell you more, but it was a lot of trial and error before they finally came up with a back scratcher that they could use to scratch her feet. She did not want contact with anyone. And so that was a far enough distance away that would work. She got so good at it, she practiced enough that she would go and pull her shoes off and stick her feet up and say, I need some help. Okay. Eventually she was able to go to kindergarten with her own back scratcher that she would use on her own feet. That's what we're trying to get to. And that's what this is. That's why I call this such a powerful thing, that if you use it consistently, it can help kids so they are understanding what their own issues are. They can recognize what they should and shouldn't be doing. They can figure out how to cope and manage it themselves. That's why I love this so much. So as we said, and we saw with Haley's with Haley's story, it can be used for very targeted intervention with a specific child who's really, really struggling. We can also use it with everyday minor challenges and conflicts with the kids that are around us, in our home, with us now 24/7, every day, every week for the past 12 weeks now. A lot of words on this one. Really, the most important things for me, I think it's strength-based. I love that. It's easy to remember. Flip it. 4 letters. It's 4 simple steps. So what are they? It is feelings. It is limits. It is inquiries and prompts. Let's dig a little deeper. Feelings. It's talking to kids gently about what they're feeling. It's what you are seeing and hearing as a result of their emotions. It helps them to identify the feeling, especially when you're talking to younger kids, but even older. I, as a 57-year-old guy, am still working out, like, what am I feeling? So we all need this. Limits, reminding them of positive limits that are in place. You know, we keep each other safe. We take care of our things here. We keep our hands to ourselves. Loving and simple limits provide a great deal of structure for children. It's safe, it's consistent, it's structure. Inquiries are questions that promote problem solving and help them. What are ways that you can invite them and encourage them to think about it, like, what would work for me? And then finally, prompts, because some kids are not going to have an idea. Certainly the younger they are, the less likely they will, but prompt is you provide an idea. Here's a suggestion. What if you tried that? What would happen if? So if they're presented in a way that's enthusiastic, like you got to sell it, bright ideas, it can help them, like, spark something in them. So we're going to go more into this, of course, but really when you think about it, you want to practice this using all 4 steps in quick succession. Okay. Say, hey, I know you're tired, and I know you came home and dropped all your stuff in the entryway, but we put stuff away in this house. What's going to help you, A, take care of it today, but B, remember tomorrow? What if we made a sign or something like that? There, I just did a flip for my son who drops his stuff when he comes in the door. So it's really simple. Now, I want to actually share, I'm going to share a video, and I'll say this was designed in a preschool setting. I am convinced, and I actually did a training on this for teens and older kids. This will work for anyone. Consider it for, you know, adults around you as well. It all works. So the example I have here, the video, is in the younger set. But notice a few things about it, how the teacher goes through and has to go back a couple of times. That's okay. So let's see this. Yep.
Hello, and welcome to a short introduction to Flip It, 4 supportive steps to help young children identify their feelings, learn healthy self-control, and reduce challenging behaviors. These steps include exploring feelings with children so we can all better understand what is motivating the challenging behavior or what's underneath it. And then after feelings, setting limits so that children know that even though they are allowed to have these feelings, that we expect them to be safe and kind.
And it's hard to wait. It is hard to wait. I know it doesn't seem like a long time, but look at my watch. Look at my watch. It has been a long time. It doesn't seem like a long time because you were enjoying it.
Poor guy.
No, you do. But you had your turn, and at our school we have to take turns.
Once children understand their feelings and the limits around them, they need help thinking through a solution. Inquiries are open-ended questions to help a child begin to problem solve. If a child is struggling coming up with a solution, we can offer prompts. These are supportive hints, cues, and suggestions.
I would like to work with you today. Would you like to work with me? Can I put you, do you want to see me put your name on the list for this afternoon?
He's having a hard time.
Let's see, what can we work on together till it's your turn again? Okay. Come on, would you like to do a story? Would you help her put your work away? I know what we can do. You want to go over feeling like we did yesterday? I know what we can do. You want to go over feeling like we did yesterday? Do you want to go draw our airplane and we can cut it out and glue it and make it fly? Would you like to do that? Look up here. Let's take a deep breath.
For more information, check out moreflipit.org.
Yep. Now I gotta figure out how to go back. Excuse me. I'll be right back with these slides because that didn't go the way I wanted it to. So one of the things I'd like to notice about that, first of all, that teacher was phenomenal in being able to do all that. And she had to go back multiple times, and that's okay. And that's really what we always have to do. So being able to go back multiple times, and you can never go wrong. If you get somewhere down that list, you get to L or I and P and they're just not there, you can always go back to feelings. Always, always go back to feelings. If you never go anywhere but feelings, that can still, that's important, that's helpful. So the thing about Flip It, I like that example because she does have to do it multiple times, and man, she's got the ideas. She keeps going. She's patient. A couple things to notice also: her demeanor. It's supportive, but it's firm. She's not giving up. She's not giving in either. So we've all tried all sorts of things in our lives. In different programs I've run, there's a whole list. In fact, in different conversations and workshops with parents, we've come to a whole number. This is not exhausted, but talking it through with the child. Positive practice where you make them, like a door they slam, they have to go and close it quietly 5 times. Timeouts, very common. They didn't earn a sticker or reward if you have an incentive system in your home. Losing a privilege, something my child is familiar with. Relaxation techniques to breathing. Writing, someone talked about how they had to write out, I will not do. You remember those from the old days. Grabbing and restraining, yelling, spanking, hitting, all those, shaming, expressing disappointment, deep hurt, silent treatment. These are things we've done, okay? But the question to ask is that helping strengthen your relationship? Is it helping with the feelings that the child has? Some of them do. Does it help him learn how to control his or her emotions? Does it help him be a problem solver? Some do. Is it helping to make long-term changes? So going through some of these, certainly. And I've crossed out ones that really we should not be doing at all. They are not helpful. They are harmful. Okay. And there are going to be times when, we do need to yell, or we need to grab and restrain. If they are putting their hands on somebody else, I do that first. Safety first. If I got a child running to the street, I'm going to grab. I'm going to yell because I need to get their attention. So the other thing, though, we're going to lose our temper. Been there, done that. We all will. We are not going to do this perfectly. I would wish I could say that I flipped my kids every single time something's gone wrong. I haven't. You're not going to. I've been practicing this a while and I still don't. I'm human. You are too. Try it, though. Try and pull it out. Try and get to that place where you can. So let's talk a little bit to understand where this comes from and how to really get there. First thing in there, that relationships are the foundation. Really, everything starts with a relationship. That's something I hold firm in every workshop I've done, and I always talk about relationships are the most important thing. Holding on to that relationship with our kid. We learn best from people we know and who care about us. So really, what are ways that we can be there every day to strengthen that relationship? Playing with them, listening, truly listening without judgment, respect and caring. So demonstrating that, and they know that we care. They know that when we come with some hard asks, like asking them to stop doing something they really like to do, they can actually respond to us. I work with youth at risk, teenagers, and a lot of times I can get kids to do stuff they wouldn't do for anyone else because I had a relationship with them. Empathy is the other piece of this. Foundational aspect is really being able to see another person and understand their issues. Showing empathy is one of the first ways that we can teach them. People say empathy doesn't happen until they're 25, 26, whatever. No, yes, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Can we teach it? Can we give it to them? Can we show it? Can we demonstrate it? Yes. The younger they are, the less likely they're able to name their own emotions and understand, and even less so, and understand the emotions of others. So the more we can talk about that, share that, the stronger it'll be. And the most is by modeling it. I can see you're really upset. And that can be hard sometimes, because sometimes it doesn't make any sense. So some of you may or may not know, you may have heard of this band a long time ago, One Direction, boy band, all the cute guys. Well, at some point, I want to say it's around 2015, Zayn, the cutest guy, according to some people, others argue, he left the band. It was awful. It was terrible. It led to this. There were young women who were bawling, crying over this. Candles, a shrine to Zayn because, oh my God, this guy who's never met me, who doesn't know I exist, has nothing to do with me in my life, has left the band. The music's still there. All this. Does this make you go like, oh my God, I hope it does? Because that's why I do this, because this is really nuts. This is really absurd. But it's also really important to recognize that her tears are real. The pain she feels, as absurd as it is real pain. So being able to acknowledge that, we don't maybe not get Zayn pain, but we know pain. We know what it feels like when someone we love goes away, leaves us, rejects us. Tap into that. We don't need to understand the why. We need to understand the feeling underneath it. That's what empathy is. Next one, ick. Ick doesn't stand for anything. Ick is ick. You know how you sometimes feel icky? We use that word. That's what ick is. It's negativity or risk factors in someone's life, okay? It includes things within ourselves, in our families or our homes, in our environment that makes us feel bad, less able to handle challenges. You know, when you have a bad night's sleep, you don't feel good, and you're a little bit shorter with stuff. You ever have your kids go hungry or feeling hungry and notice like, oh gosh, I gotta feed them because the monster comes out. So we've all felt this, okay? So we see these behaviors coming, and these are what we see. Okay, what we need to understand is what's behind them is the ick. Whatever they're feeling in that moment, we need to understand that. So like I say, not sleeping well, being hungry, our own ick, like not having a teenager who refuses to clean his or her room, having to work from home, not having to work, having to go to work and not knowing if you're going to get infected or not. That's a lot. We're feeling that. Our kids feel that too. They're missing their friends. They're not able to go out and play in the park or whatever like they usually do. So ick can come from a lot of things. It could also be from one or many traumatic experience that you or a child has experienced. So it can be the dumb little things to deep, deep, deep trauma. But ick is ick. It's real. It doesn't matter where it came from. What matters is it's there. And being able to understand it and recognize like, okay, there's some ick happening here. What can I do to help? Okay, recognize and please know that ickness doesn't mean sickness. It's kind of corny, but it's real. So we have ick. We need to recognize it. And what I like to say is when you see this happening, try and remember that my child is not giving me a hard time. My child is having a hard time. So when you got someone that young, that's really easy to look and feel that, oh my gosh, my sweet little baby, I want to just pick him up and hold him, and we can do that. It gets harder when that sweet little baby is flipping you off, when that sweet little baby turns into a nasty teenager who drops the F-bomb and does all sort of things. Do you know what? He is also having a hard time. Whatever that ick is, it's happening and he's dealing with it. This sort of behavior is something we're more likely to react to. Don't you stick your finger up at me, young man, right? Go back, remember who he was. This is who he was. So being able to remember like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? Being able to acknowledge like, hey, I see you're really upset. That finger tells me something. It tells me more than just to go away. It tells me you're not feeling good. So another little piece about this is distinguishing and understanding the difference between flipping in and flipping out. I love the words flip because you can flip off, flip in, flip out. So most of us will think about and respond to what we see are flip outs. That's when kids are exploding. That's when you see the big behaviors and the big emotions, okay? There are a number of kids who theirs is flipping in. They're going to hide, they're withdrawing, they become small, they become quiet. We don't often notice them. We may have a child in our home who's flipping in all the time and we don't know it because, oh, they're just off in a corner. They went to read a book, they went to draw. It's okay. Not necessarily, we don't know that. So make sure you're noticing flip ins and flip outs. Of their behaviors. So that seeing and hearing is gently, first of all. I mean, they're feeling big stuff, whatever it is. Generally, it's not pleasant. It's stuff we don't like. So being able to keep the tone down, we're not elevating, we're not escalating, okay? Talking about their feelings, I can see that you're feeling something. If you can't identify what the feeling is, you can identify what you see and hear. Okay, seeing and hearing, meaning like I see you with your fists all scrunched up and your face all scrunched up, your face is red. I see tears coming down your face. I see your shoulders scrunched up. I see a look in your eyes. Those are things you can see. It looks like you're really mad. Can I help you? What's going on? Okay, I see you feeling this stuff. So being able to identify that. Why are feelings important? because they're at the root of all behavior. It's underneath everything. When they have good feelings at their roots, they're feeling good, it looks good, okay? They don't always understand the negative feelings they're experiencing. They don't get it. Like I said, 57-year-old guy, I don't still always understand my negative feelings. I need to take some time. So they will then flip out or they'll flip in. I don't know what to do with all those. And so unhealthy and destructive behavior results, and it gets big reactions from us. Don't you, why are you doing help? So being able to back up from that. And really, if we just address the behavior that's up there on the surface, we don't get to those feelings. We may deal with the behavior in that moment. We may deal with it multiple times. But if we get to the feelings that's underneath it, then we might be getting somewhere. Then we can really help them to figure out what's going on, and then they can work on better behaviors. So talking with them gently, get down on their level, being able to understand what's going on with them. So feelings really comes out as behaviors, and those are feelings to be understood. What I like to say, behavior is communication. I learned from some of my social work colleagues that they also use the word functional behavior. It's a behavior I do to get what I want. If I rant and throw a tantrum, I might actually get the treat I'm trying to get. Functional behavior. If I am sit quietly, maybe I can look remorseful and then my parents will stop yelling at me. So those kind of things, that's behavior. They're trying to tell us something. So more about these feelings. We may flop. We're trying to flip and we flop. So one of those ways is when we do things like asking why. This is a problem for a couple of reasons. One is, we don't need to know why. Sometimes they just do dumb things and they don't have an answer. So they can't say why. I don't know, because I'm an idiot, Another times there may be a reason that we really don't want to know. But ultimately, it really doesn't matter. Another thing about why is there's a judgment there. A lot of times we use that why when it's really stop doing that, or you are there's judgment behind it. Like, I can't believe you just did that. So if we can stay away from the word why, just completely, okay? Another flop is when we respond to the behaviors, which is something that's probably the most common thing that we do, is we deal with the behavior and we don't get at what's going on underneath. That's the most common thing, because that's what we're seeing. That's what we want to stop. And so we jump in on the behavior. So doing things and saying things like, stop that, be nice, put that down, it doesn't get us anywhere, long-term solutions, okay? It's natural, but it keeps the focus on the behavior. It doesn't get us deeper. So let's take a different angle here. Let's think about ourselves. Imagine you're feeling really sad, okay? Someone says, smile, hey, don't be sad. Has anyone ever said that to a child? Have you? Don't be sad. Okay, we mean well. We don't want them to feel sad. I don't like my kids to feel sad, but we can't just make it go away. When you say that to someone, do you think they feel, if someone says it to you, would you feel like, oh, wow, they really understand what's going on. That's okay. I'm better now. Thanks. That was good. No, your troubles aren't instantly going away. There's no connection whatsoever. How about this one? I'm not sure if this has happened to anyone here. Imagine you're feeling frustrated or tired. Someone asks, why aren't the dishes done yet? You had one of those days where you were working to keep your kids focused on their schoolwork because they're still trying to do schoolwork at this point. You got a toddler running around who keeps needing diaper changes and whatever, and you're trying to keep the house clean, and you're trying to do your own work, and you're trying to, and then the spouse comes out of the bedroom office like, oh, good day. Oh, why aren't the dishes done? How does that sound? Do you think you'd feel understood or comforted? How about like, hey, how was your day? Whoa, not feeling good. So those same thing. We do the same thing with our kids. So let's focus on feelings. So I like this because it makes us think about feelings big and small that we on a daily basis ignore. Let's stop that. Let's take the time and look at feelings. Let's stop and say, what's happening? What am I feeling? What are you feeling? Excuse me. So there's a couple of prompts. And again, if hopefully Kirsten or Candace were able to get this into the chat. If not, it is on our website, but I've got a list of lead-in phrases. This is probably some of the most helpful thing for you, is to be able to come up with, how can you say this? So, examples like, I see you're breaking up a bunch of crayons. I wonder if you're feeling mad. Wow, it looks like you're feeling really happy. You know, we can be flipping kids who are happy too. I notice that you are tearing up that paper into little bitty bits. What is going on? I see your foot tapping and your hand shaking. You're looking antsy. You feeling nervous? So sorry. You're feeling so sad. Or just simply, what are you feeling? Or if you have the tools with, point to the face that tells us how you're feeling. So these are just different ways to start to build ways to ask that question. Okay. These are yours. I mean, these are prompts that are ideas that come from the folks that designed this thing. Come up with yours. If it feels fake, it's okay. Start with it. And, take what's here and create it and put it into your own words. Put your own tone with your own child in the situation as well. But make these. I'm not gonna do the story because I'm gonna skip through and get us moving to limits. So we did the F, and I spent a lot of time, and there's a lot. I mean, we took half of our time really understanding the feelings. And as I said before, if you can't get past feelings, sometimes it's okay. Sometimes that's enough. That child sometimes just needs that connection with you. So be able to go ahead and give them that. So limits. So once you've had some conversation about their feelings and you've been able to establish that with them, then you get to step 2. What are the limits? This is sign language for limits, by the way. So reminding them of positive limits can help them so they know what the expectations are. What is it I should be doing? So I'll talk a little bit about that. But loving and simple limits are really helpful. It helps them surround them with some structure, consistency, predictability. They know what's supposed to happen. Okay. So there's some rules about rules, if you will. Okay. One is positively worded. I really believe in this, being able to say it. What is it you want them to do rather than what you don't want them to do? So if it's got a no, don't, or a stop in it, you got to rewrite it. Okay. I want you to, and they should be specific. I want you to pick up your socks. Okay. Not clean up after yourself. Very general. I don't know what it is you want. Okay. I should clean up after myself. Thanks, Mom. Okay. Pick up your socks. There. Positively worded. Things like be nice, not very clear. Okay. Behave, be on your best behavior. Again, not very clear. Make sure you share with your friends, use your pleases and thank yous, those kind of things. But tell them what you want. If you tell a kid, stop running down the hall, what are the last words he or she hears? Running down the hall. Hadn't thought about it, great idea. So if it has a no, don't, or a stop, it's not positively worded. Rewrite it, restate it. Keep it simple. We don't need big, long explanations. We don't need the whole do you realize that when I sat down to dinner, I looked over and I saw these socks that were on the floor and I realized I've asked you multiple times about those socks and they smell and it's smelling up the house. And no, pick up the socks. Thank you. Based on familiar rules, keep it regular things that you have going on. I think we all have rules in our homes, so just keep it simple to what we got there. Some ideas there. We keep ourselves safe. We keep each other safe. We keep our things safe. Okay, they're descriptive. I kind of went into that specific. This is what I want you to do. If you need to, and you can add, here's what that looks like when you are. I know that when you are sharing with your brother, it means you're both taking turns with that toy, something like that. Then there's ways to actually do this. Okay, stated without a but. And actually, if anyone noticed in that video example, she did have a but in there. A but can have a really tricky and unfortunate way of sort of taking away everything important you said before it. Okay, so say it with an and. I see you're feeling really upset, and I still need you to keep your hands to yourself. Okay, if I say a but, then it's like, yeah, you really matter to me, but you know what really matters is you keeping your hands to yourself. So the other is limits should be reviewed during times when you're not in a crisis, okay? That you're having some conversation. Hey, remember, I'd like to do with my kids a reminder before they went over to someone else's house, remember your pleases and thank yous and how can I help? Those are the big things. So a couple of ways to go at this, make rules together, sit down, be probably have with your kids, but sit down with them and make up rules that you can all agree on. Again, keep it simple. Okay. The other is sticking to it, consistency. I can't tell you how important that is. If you're with another person who's parenting the children and you guys have different levels of what's okay and what's not okay, that's going to be difficult and confusing for your kid. So if you can agree on, you know what, this is what quiet means, this is what quiet means, this is what it means to put away devices, they go here, we can define that and be clear. So being able to do that. Changing a habit, this is something that's really hard, and think about all of this. You're trying to do something different. So habits are hard. Changing habits are hard. So go ahead and give them that. I mean, give yourself some time to figure out how to do that and adjust when needed. You may find that rules they will change over time because kids are going to change over time. They're going to grow. You also may find that, you know, I don't need to go that far into it because my kids figured this out already. So a couple of things, we flop, we mess up, okay? Sometimes when we tell them what they can't do, no hurting, no yelling. Okay, again, we're giving them ideas, first of all. But second of all, I'm not giving them a clear sense of what is the behavior I want. If they're doing behavior A, I need to give them behavior B, a replacement behavior. Stop doing this, do this. So giving them real good, clear, remember we agreed to use friendly words, okay? Stop being rude. No, we agreed to use friendly words. Remember that? So these are supportive things. Another thing around limits is being able to remind and discuss. Anyone drive down the highway and whenever find they go maybe a little too fast down the highway, and whenever see a cop on the side of the road when they're driving down that highway and we all slow down to the speed limit, right? Yeah, kind of think of that for our kids. Talking about the rules at any time, not just when they're blowing up. Really like, hey, so remember how we're supposed to be treating each other? What have we agreed on? So you have those conversations, they're getting these reminders at other times. When they're going off to a play date, remember what we say about sharing and talking nice, right? And using gentle hands. So giving those, reviewing, going over that with them. Okay, so a couple of lead-in phrases. And again, these are on that page. So I hear you saying unfriendly words. I hear you dropping the F-bomb. You must be really mad. I wonder if you're feeling kind of upset. We use friendly, nice words here. And I like that F-bomb example that's happened in my own home. It's disrespectful and all, but I don't really care because he's mad. He may even say, I hate you. He has. And you know what? It's okay. It's what he's feeling. He's allowed to have those feelings. Okay. If you want to have a conversation, and I have, about the use of the F-bomb, that's a whole different flip. Okay, let's stick to this one right now. Okay, I took away your phone, so there was a consequence for something, and that's when I'm getting this. And like, okay, fine. I don't need to flip that. So let's go back into, I hear you using unfriendly words. I wonder if you're feeling upset. Yeah, we use friendly words. Wow, looks like you're feeling X. We keep each other safe. Your body's getting antsy. Are you feeling nervous? It's okay to feel nervous. Now we're putting these limits in here. So sorry you're feeling so sad. We use gentle touches here. Okay, that didn't quite go. I see you're excited about our visitor and you're running around the room. Our rule is to sit at the circle. Okay, so one of the things I want to come back and talk to, it's okay to feel nervous. Sometimes limits are not really a specific limit. It can be, I really love you. I care deeply about you. That can be enough. When you have a child who doesn't feel good about themselves and they're beating themselves up for any sort of thing, just say, I can see you're really frustrated right now. Just know that I love you. That can be the limit. Okay. All right, let's go on to inquiries. We're in the I of FLIP. Inquiries are those questions that promote problem solving and help them to get to that place where, like Haley, it took a lot of effort till they finally figured out the back scratcher was what would work for her and scratching her feet. So encouraging them to think about what's going to work. So when you think about that, you want to be encouraging with open-ended questions. We have a lot of closed questions that are just simple yes and no answers. Anyone ever play 20 questions? You know what that's like? So those are the kind of questions we don't want. You also don't want leading questions where you're actually giving them an answer in the question. You want a question that is like, what can we do here? What's a possibility? All right. So give some examples of some that might sound like, you know, on the left-hand side, do you want to go outside to calm down? Feels like a really good question. It's a caring thing. It's the right idea, but you're giving them the idea. So we want something that's more like, what would help you feel calmer right now? If we need to, we'll get to the prompt. That's the next step. We don't need to do that here. Okay. So do you think you should ask nicely? No. What's another way you could ask? We just open that up. Can you ask him to stop bugging you? So what can you ask him? So we're switching this up. And can you stop playing that game? What's another activity you could be doing? So I'm not proposing anything here. These are just like, what are some ideas? What's going to help us get through this? So you'll notice a lot of what in there. Okay, these are what questions. It's exactly the kind of thing you want. Practice this. We actually did an exercise when I did a staff training where we had them try and guess what my job used to be. And so it was really trying to practice thinking of questions that are open and sort of opening up the conversation. It was my favorite job. I used to be a Zamboni driver. It was awesome. I love this job too. So we may flop with this. One of those is when we ask with a tone that's intimidating or demanding or angry, when we're sitting there like this, what are you going to do now? So what are we going to do about this? Okay, this is not an invitation. Okay, this is us just continuing to be angry. So step that back. I'm like, okay, so what are we going to do here? This looks like this is a bit of a problem, isn't it? So what are we going to do? Okay, when we're quick to solve the problems for them, I'm just going to take this toy away because you guys can't share. Okay, let me point out, dad alert, this is something we can jump into where we're going to fix it because that's what we do. Because men do, well, I'll say it's a dad thing. We definitely do it. There are moms that do it. And there are adults, just, I know from my Parks and Rec days, who want to go in and fix it and make it better. And yeah, it's a great gesture, but we're not helping them. And what ends up happening to us is we take charge of everything and then we're responsible for everything. And it always becomes our job. It's not what we want. We're trying to hand it over to them. So it's exhausting. Let's stop. Give it to them. What can you do to help this? What do you think you can do to fix this? What are some ideas you got? So changing that habit, okay? Instead of jumping in to solve things, how can you get them to think about it? Another one, know when to move on. And this is a tricky one, although, well, the younger they are, this inquiry leads straight into the prompt. When they're 2 or 3 years old, okay, you're going, so what do you think would help you calm down? Like in that video, the example, she moved straight to the prompt. It was not a whole lot of time spent. We don't sit there and wait, okay? The older they get, you give them a little bit of time. You know, with teenagers, and depending on the issue, you can even walk away and say, so what do you think is going to be a good idea for this? And then come back. Give them a chance to really think about it. Well, you know, here's what I think I want to do. Okay, so depending on, of course, in the beginning, I said you do this all in about 10 seconds. This is the one where you have to have a little bit of nuance and figure out what's your audience, what's the situation, and I may need to move straight to a prompt, or I can let that sit for a little bit. Okay. So a couple of examples. How do you think we can fix this? What can we do instead? Is there another way? How can we make this easier? What can we do? What can we use to get us there? What's a friendly way you could? How are we going to make this work? How can we make this fun? Oh, there's a good one. That's one of my favorites. Like, how do you make this fun? Parks and Rec days, sorry. So really think about how to get them to really be like thinking, because they're stuck in a bad way. And so we need to be part of that energy to sort of shift the energy to something more positive. Okay, last one, prompts. I keep checking my time and, oh, we're doing okay, good. Prompts. This is where we're providing some cues and clues and suggestions like, hey, let's what if you ask the question, they're kind of stuck. So like, okay, let's start chipping away at that. Okay. So enthusiastic, bright ideas when we want to sell it to them. Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about prompts. So one way my favorite is really, you know, when that happened to me, I had a similar situation and I realized that I could use 2 things to make that work. What do you think those 2 things are? I used to work a lot with middle schoolers. So some sort of personal example, a suggestion, you know what might work? If you took a quick walk outside and did some deep breathing, how about that? You know, this is where we throw these in. We don't want the leading questions. The prompt is where we want this. So offering positive choices where both options are desirable. You know, I like this with my own. You could do instead, we could read or look for treasures in the room. Is there another way? I'll bet we can think of a way to make that stronger. More what? What else could we do to get us there? Could we walk backwards or maybe hop on one foot? What's a friendly way we can ask each other? Maybe lowering our voice. How are we going to make this fun? Can we find, oops, can't see that. Can we find something and make it a flower, a rock and a flower? Maybe bring it back to our room. There we go. So those are just some ideas. And again, these are on the handouts. So this is like the bulk of it. I want to take you back to a little bit of wrap up. And actually, I'm going to take you back to that story, that putt-putt story that I skipped. Because I really think it really gets to the whole idea of feelings and something that we as adults do a lot, where we think we know what's going on. So I'm going to come back to that because it really was there. So this is a story of a family that went to take their kids to a birthday celebration, their one child with some friends, to play putt-putt at East Potomac Park, which is pictured here. They agreed as a group that whoever got, you know, they would go in order. Whoever got their ball in first would be the first one to putt and on down the list. So what happened was the parent was noticing that the child was being a little bit pushy and a little bit using a nasty voice, an unpleasant voice. And the parent called that child out on it a couple of times. Like, hey, stop that. Act nice. Talk nice to your friends. 3, 4, 5 times, parent starts to get upset. Parent finally says, you know what, I'm done with it. That's enough. Grabs child by the arm, pulls child off the golf course. Other parent stays with the other kids, goes with the child to the car, puts the child in the car, sits in the car. They're both angry. They're upset. They're mad at each other. Once they both calm down, the child actually says what was happening was David was trying to go out of turn. The child was supposed to be first and David was pushing in line. And so the child was actually trying to hold his space. And instead of having a parent who backed him up, who supported him, the parent jumped in and said, I know what's going on. I think I know what's going on because I can see it, right? So I'm going to jump in and I'm going to change this behavior. So that parent realized there, like, wait, what would have happened if that parent had said, hey, what's going on? I see you're kind of grumpy. I see you grumbling. I see you using such a tone with your buddy there. What's going on? What would have changed there? That child would have felt the support from a parent. That parent could have helped that child figure out, so what do you think we can do here? You know, that was a rule. That was something we agreed on. I still want you talking nice to your friend. So what's a way we can do that? Oh, what if maybe we review the rules with everybody? What if maybe then we call out everybody's name, who goes first, second, third, and then we can be very clear who's supposed to be where in line. I just did a flip for that parent. It could have been different. So think about that as ways that we, in everyday ways, we jump in and do this sort of stuff. So I'm going to throw a couple things in there that I like. Just some FAQs. I'm going to pick out 1 or 2 of these. If there's immediate physical danger, you know, forget the feeling, take care of the danger. Okay. What if the feeling step sparks the discussion? I think, great. That's what you want. Then you're having a conversation. That's okay. If you don't know what the child is feeling, that's okay too. Throw something out there. Younger children, older children, they'll be like, no, that's not what I'm feeling. I'm feeling that. Oh, thanks for letting me know. Okay. When you got a child who's out of control or having a tantrum, can you start it there? Depends. It may be okay just to say, I can see you're really upset. You're having big feelings. We still need you to be calmed down. what's going to help you, you can still do that. They may or may not respond, and it may just need to be, I need to give you some time and space and step away, and that's okay. Okay, in order to get their attention, how do I get their attention? You know, the best thing is really get down to their level, get in front of their face, and maybe not in their face. This kind of depends on the moment, okay? But you really want to be, you need to capture their interest, and you know, enthusiasm and tone of voice, not necessarily as sharp, like, hey, no, right here, stop. Not gonna help. Hey, that Carrington, whoa, what's going on? I see some big stuff happening. What is going on? I am so sorry. Hey, can we come over here and talk about it? Let's see what's happening here. So if you can get closer, if you can make some contact and maybe even some caressing, if it's your own child, you know your child, sometimes they don't want that. So whatever you want for them, okay? So child who's nonverbal, you can still do this. They understand, okay? And if they have some delays, that's okay. You can work this out. You know, there's communication boards, there's different or nonverbal ways to do that, as symbols and things like that, to help them point out what they're feeling, those sort of things. Perfect, absolutely, okay? If you sound fake, it's okay. Keep working at it. Get the Oscar, work for the Oscar this year on being able to do that, okay? And you can use it with multiple kids. I see a whole lot of energy going on here. We still all need to be seated in our places. What's going to help us? How about if we do count backwards from 10? Okay. Second last one is really, if you come in a situation, and I had this a lot with middle schoolers, where you don't know exactly what happened. Doesn't matter. You know what does matter, and you know, and they can speak to, and they don't have to lie about it, is how they're feeling. That was something I learned before I ever knew Flip It, was their feelings are real. They can't argue about it. One kid can't tell, well, you're not feeling that. Oh, whoa. Yes, she is. She has her feelings. She got mad. I need you to know that she got mad about that. That hurt his feelings. So absolutely, forget the facts. Start with the feelings. Okay. Okay, if the child says, no, that's not my feeling, like, okay, I'm trying to figure that out. Hey, all right. Hey, if they try to mock you, then like, okay, so you're clearly, I'm not getting it. I get that. So what are you feeling? But really try and hold our own calm. Okay. We have some practice pictures. I am going to just run through these real quick. These are some that we've used in trainings, and you know, what are some examples? The more you do this, the more you practice. In fact, I'd like you to, I'm going to throw these out because I don't want to sit here in silence, but take some of these, look at these pictures, and on your own think of what are some things you can say. What are feelings we see here? What do we see in this picture? We see a scrunched up face. We see some like tension. We see those hands like that. We see her breaking up little crayons. So we can speak to that. I can see that your face is all scrunched up and you're breaking crayons into little pieces. I think you might be feeling angry. Yes. Okay. The limit. You're allowed to break our when you're feeling. No. The limit is we keep our crayons in one piece. Okay. I can see you're feeling upset. What can we do about that? Okay. Maybe we can find something else you can break, like a stick or something. Let's go outside. Someone's under the table. Okay. I can see you under the table. You look kind of worried. You're hiding out. It's okay to feel worried. It can be a little crazy in this room sometimes. Okay. That's fine. But everyone still needs to help with cleanup. Okay. So how can you do cleanup and still feel safe? Maybe, do you want to be my cleanup helper? You can go by my side, you stay by me. Okay, so it's just some ideas. How about this one? Yeah, we got the guy who comes in and he's tuning out the caregiver and refusing to do a chore. So, hey, first you got to get through to them. They're on this device. Maybe you put a little sticky note on their wrist saying, hey, 3 minutes, let's talk. Okay, a timer, something like that. But, or, you know, hey, at 5 o'clock, I want to have a conversation about this. So this is like a gentle place you want to step into. Okay. Then you can say things like, you look really annoyed. Going up and just grabbing the headphones off, by the way, or pulling the thing out of their hand, not getting us where we want to go. So you looked really annoyed when I asked you to pick up your stuff when you came in the house. Okay. I like things, the backpack goes on the hook, the lunch stuff gets put in the dishwasher, your shoes in the closet. Okay. Any ideas how you can help remember this tomorrow? and when you might be able to get this done today. And that would be prompt. And this is a place where you're like, what's going to help? Okay. And you can let them go. Or you can say, what if you made a sign to remind yourself and you put it right on that spot on the floor where you dropped your backpack? What do you think about that? So that really wraps up what I'm going to do here. I'll throw one more final commercial in there about the numbers we have. And then I'm actually going to throw my information out there. So please, I welcome questions. There's the website for information. I am going to go and check the Q&A, see if there's anything in there to discuss. I hope so. Let me get to this where I can see things, and hopefully I can see anything in there. Did anyone ask anything? Ooh, lots of questions. Oh, there's a lot of shared stuff. Fabulous. Thank you so much. And I see a lot of information people have shared about themselves. And thank you so very much for being part of this. Any tips on keeping your cool and sustaining patience, especially when the steps become redundant? Really good question. Yes. No, I don't have any tips whatsoever. No, really being able to step back and remember what we're doing here. And we're allowed to be frustrated. You know, so we can talk about flipping ourselves. It's okay to do that. Like, okay, here we go again. I'm engaging with my child for the 16th time today about, you know, getting off his or her device. Okay, I still need to talk to him about it. I need to be calm when I do it because I know when I approach my child, he or she gets really upset. Okay, what's going to help me? A little bit of deep breathing, something like that. Okay, I just flipped myself there. It's really good to be able to come in and, you know, it's okay to acknowledge, like, I'm feeling kind of frustrated too, but start with theirs. Okay, I'll bet you're getting frustrated because I keep coming back and asking you this. I get that. I know what it feels like to be nagged, not fun. So still need these things to be picked up. What's going to help so that you don't get nagged? I don't have to come back and do this because this isn't fun for me. You can engage them in that way to try and turn it into something like that. Okay, but you are going to get that way. And sometimes, you know, flipping is not the only thing. And it may just be, you just need to go in and just referencing other behavior issues or behavior workshops I've done. Sometimes, this sounds bad, but dog commands, just like socks. You know, I keep referencing the idea of picking up the socks off the floor where, you know, I just go in like socks now, thank you, and walk away. Okay. But yeah, when it becomes repetitive, you have to keep going and over again. That can be hard. Tag team, if there's another parent who's with you, you can also tag out and let them take it. So good question, appreciate that. And I'm going to scroll out and see if there's anything else. Diffusing situation when spouse is escalating with the child. That's a really hard one. That is something that in that moment, I think you need to step back from it. That's two conversations to have differently. One is, and going in and flipping a spouse in front of the kid is not going to work. Okay, because they will feel attacked. They will feel like you're taking away their authority. There's a whole lot that can go on in there. Believe me, I know this. I've done this. Ask my wife. And I apologize publicly. But so really being able to have a separate conversation about, you know, when this happens, I see this taking place. What's going to help you? How can I support you? Because I see you getting upset. And if you can arrange for some sort of signal like the tag team idea or something like that, that's fine. Some of that may require more conversation because we all come up with our own ways of being brought up. Being able to come to some agreement on, you know, when this happens, what can we do so you can problem solve and maybe come up with a design your own flipping for you can create your own script for it. Okay. Others is maybe just having some conversation about like, wow, why does that, where? So I was talking about, I forget the conscious parenting, where they talk about our kids can really push our buttons. The conscious parenting question it asks is, where do those buttons come from? Why do we have those buttons? And so, you know, that's another, could be a really deep and rich conversation to have with another parent is what are those buttons? Where'd they come from? So just some ideas around how to have those conversations. And if you may, there may be times where you can just step in and take over if you have that relationship and that kind of trust with the other parent, that you can step in and then you flip the child. Okay, I got this one, let me jump in. Okay, and then you can flip. Okay, I don't know if that answers it. Those are just some ideas off the top of my head. Is it better to step away? Yes, so someone says, I think you already addressed this, but if you are hot, is it better just step away before we try the steps? Yes, yeah, I did talk about flipping yourself. And it's okay to say, I'm not cool with what's happening right now. I see you're upset. I am too. I'm taking a break, okay? If you can, yeah, the idea of trying to flip it to a place where you can do it safely and they can feel safe while you're doing it, I think is important. And say, you know, I need to deal with this. It's really bugging me right now. I need to take my own time, and even start using the language. I need to flip myself. They're like, what? Yeah, I'm gonna flip myself. And if you're good, I mean, I think initially it probably will take some practice, but if you're good, you can, when we did the training, it was funny, the instructor, Rachel, she was doing the training. It seems to happen that whenever she starts to have a training, they are cutting the grass outside of the room. And so she's like, oh my God, this happens every single time. And then she stopped. And she says, I'm going to flip myself. She went silent for a few seconds. And then she's like, okay. So she talked through her own flip was, you know, I've got to do this training. And, you know, I know I'm upset. I'm frustrated because darn it, they're cutting the grass again. But I've got 40 people that paid money and came a great distance to come here. So I got to do this training. What's going to help me calm down? I'm going to take some deep breathing and recognize that I've got beautiful people in this room. That's what she did. So similar to yourself, I can flip myself. I know I'm feeling really mad about this because this is the kind of thing that I see over and over and over again. I still need to deal with it calmly. What's going to help me? And then starting to think about, you know, if you can even then start to imagine and understand the feelings in the child. I'm trying to think of ways to help you get out of that spot. Okay. I did acknowledge, I did a thing on, it's actually, we've got other webinars on our website, by the way. And there is one around anger, and anger is okay. And it's really understanding when you're angry and saying, you know what, I'm mad about this. What is it that's making me mad? And so doing some of that inquiry, what is it that's making me mad here? Sometimes we get mad, we get sour about stuff and we're not quite sure. Other times it's very specific. But if we can get into like, okay, what I need to have something different. This is making me mad because the kids are jumping on the furniture. I want to have nice furniture. So how do I do that? I need to have a conversation with them about keeping the furniture nice because I can't afford more furniture until you're gone from college and 10 years after. So that's my furniture for the next 25 years. Okay, so long answer to your question. Yes, take deep breaths. You know what, real quick, breathing in 6 seconds, breathing out 9. Do that about 10 or 12 times. That will help move you from this part of your brain, that survival part, to the prefrontal cortex, the more thinking, calmer part. All right, recommendations for defusing situations if, oh shoot, I missed another part of that question. I don't know. Defusing situations if what? Help me. See if there's anything else. Yes, we will send slides. I see that. Thank you. And I think that is all. I want to hold on. I'm going to say a few more things because there's actually a delay in this. So I want to make sure I get everyone's questions. I appreciate everyone greatly for being here, for hanging on to this. I want to make sure I'm not missing any questions. As I said, I think this is a really powerful tool. It's very simple. It is something I wish I could do every single day. We have little handouts, like I said, on the website that gives you some ideas. Just it talks through the steps. We have another one that talks about the prompts. We have another one that had just some reflections. If you want to print those out or even just look at them and take some of the questions and the thinking, it's a way to go a little bit deeper with this idea of, and if you have someone else you're parenting with, you can have that conversation with them and use some of those tools. You know, one of those is taking a look at the child you have in mind and thinking about what are his or her interests, what are his or her strengths, and what are those behaviors that bug us. And we start in that order because we want to start with the child and the good things we know about them. So being able to have some of that thinking as we're coming into the space a little bit differently. We want to flip our kids, because it's a loving, caring thing to do, and it's helping them learn, and it's helping them grow, and it's helping them be independent and caring and giving people that we want them to be. Thank you all so much for being a part of this. Again, this is recorded, so if you want to come back, if I talk too fast at different spots, you can come back and look, and then all the spots where I'm talking too much, you can just skip on ahead. Okay, so appreciate it. If you'd like more information, you know where to go. You can send me an email, mswish@arlingtonva.us. I see an email in there now that gives me some other stuff. Oh, thank you. It's just got put in there. Need to use the F for friendly. Okay, excellent. Well, again, I'm going to say thank you, and I wish you all a good night, and I'm signing off.